Um, Hello, today we're going to be discussing una historia literaria.
Which is our interview with Irma Reina Martinez Velarde, also known as Lily's mom, also known as the author and publisher of de Luz y Barro.
And my name is Lily Milushka Pau de Carpio.
And I am Elena Velasco.
And we're going to start our presentation now. So next, we're going to be showing the video interview that Elena and I had with Irma. Before we go into the interview, I want to say that Irma was born in June 10th, 1947 in Lima, Peru. And so here's the presentation. Hacerle una pregunta, Irma, ¿cómo naciste? ¿Cómo fue tu crecimiento?
Bueno, antes que nada, gracias por esta entrevista a ustedes dos, inesperada. Así que nací en un hogar de familia ayacuchana, en un lugar muy pequeñito que entonces todavía no era conocido. Se llama Chaviña. Está entre Puquio y Coracora, es la provincia de Lucanes. Pero yo nací particularmente en Lima, así que lamentablemente mi madre murió cuando tenía 4 años y 7 meses, y alrededor de los 5 y algunos meses me llevaron a Lima para criarme con mi abuelita, la madre de mi papá, y dejé atrás al pueblito de Chaviña con mis hermanos, uno de 2 años y el otro recién nacido. Así que fue muy duro esa etapa de la separación con mi padre y también de mis hermanos.
So this tragic accident of Irma's mother passing away led to Irma living and being raised by her paternal grandmother. And she had to move to live with her grandma. And she was raised with her aunts and uncles, like if they were siblings. Living with her grandma, there was a lot of struggles, especially financial hardships, which led to Irma not being able to get an education until, do you want to go to the next slide, Lily?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Until she was an adult and had her 3 children. Irma was finally able to finish her education, which was only a primary level, when she was 35 years old. And shortly after that, Irma moved to San Francisco. Do you want to show the next slide, Lily?
On the picture on the left, Irma is in Japantown Center in San Francisco. And the picture on the right, she's with her son, John, from the left, her granddaughter, Luna, myself, her son, Luis, her grandson, Erso, and her son-in-law, Juan. And she wrote lots of poems dedicated to her family. And this is what she had to say about her poems.
He sido una persona que ha nacido, creo, con este sentimiento de la justicia. Así que donde haya algo que tenga que reclamar, creo que siempre ha alzado mi voz. Es una característica. Y también eso se trasciende a través de mi poesía, ¿no? Lo descubrí cuando ya tenía como 30 y tantos años, que escribía cartas, enviaba también cartas a mis amigos, amigas, y a través de ellos algunas cosas que había escrito los compartía con ellos, ¿no? No así con mis hijos porque eran pequeños y yo solamente me preocupaba mucho por saber cómo estaban hasta que los traje, ¿no? Y felizmente solamente nos duró la separación por 2 años. Y luego ya vinieron para acá y fue otra etapa de lucha, ¿no?
in the interview we had with Irma, she did say that those 2 years where she transitioned from Peru to her move to San Francisco were the toughest 2 years for her in her life. And the way she coped was through writing poems and writing letters to her closest friends and her family. And she said that her friends really were able to get her through these tough times. And one day as a gift, they decided that they would want to put all of her writings, all of the letters and poems and everything she had sent to them through these 2 years, they would collect and put it together as a gift for her to be able to see. And that's when the idea of the book de Luz y Barro came to life.
Alguna vez le comenté a uno de mis amigos, que es un poquito mayor que yo, y le decía que tenía una ilusión de querer publicar estos escritos y lo enviaba para que me los corrija y me dé su opinión, etc. Entonces, creo que fue él el que me lanzó prácticamente a hacer la publicación, porque si yo lo hubiera hecho en mi propia experiencia, tal vez me hubiera tomado más tiempo, porque yo pues trabajaba para poder educar a mis hijos. Pero yo creo que cada ser humano tiene una manera diferente de expresar su interior de lo que ve la vida, ¿no? Entonces, siempre me ha gustado escribir. Creo que es eso lo que me llevó a ver cómo puedo traducir mis sentimientos, mis emociones, mis dudas o mis cuestionamientos, qué sé yo. Entonces, a veces vienen así, ¿no? De esa manera. Así que hay algunos poemas que he escrito inspiradas en mi hija o en mi hijo.
Tu poema principal de Luz y Barro.
Oh, ok. Yo amo mucho mi cultura, ¿no? Siempre he leído acerca de la cultura inca, que fue la cultura última, ¿no? Con la que llegaron estos llamados conquistadores, pero de una u otra manera la cultura inca aglutinó a un conjunto de otras culturas antes de ellos, ¿no? Entonces, nosotros somos un país multicultural, ¿no? Entonces, yo siempre tengo estos pensamientos de que cuando hacen excavaciones, encuentran las cerámicas, los restos arqueológicos, ¿no? Y cada vez que hacen esas excavaciones, van encontrando la historia que antecede toda una serie de culturas, ¿no? Entonces, yo quise expresar esto. Bueno, lleva el título de Luz y Barro, dice: ¿qué de historias yacerán mezcladas en el fondo del barro? Porque la cerámica está hecha de barro, pero está hecha con esas manos, con todo lo que han recogido de experiencias ancestrales, ¿no?
As she was explaining the poem, she told us that it's about the rich culture that we had in Peru and how everything comes from the mixing of the earth and water and making it into something solid, something conclusive. And once the archaeologists find all these pottery that are buried in the grounds, then the luz comes up, right? The light comes out. They're finally being found and they're coming to life again. And it reflects the archaeologists and scientists that bring in all these new technology that are going to help us find how they made these things and what kind of intent they have. It's all about our culture. It's all about how we are growing as humans. And one of the things that Irma has very deeply rooted in herself and with her writing and everything else is the relationships that she has built through her life with her friends, her family, her children, and with everyone she comes across with. So she treasures those a lot due to her experiences. And thanks to that, she was able to publish her book.
And then at the end, we have a quote or a poem that Lily felt fit to include because of how close her mom is with poetry. And if you would like to read it, Lily.
Yes, the author of this poem is called Cesar Vallejo. Is one of her favorite poets of all times from Peru. And the poem goes like this. Un poema es una entidad vital, mucho más orgánica que un ser orgánico en la naturaleza. A un animal se le amputa un miembro y sigue viviendo. A un vegetal que se le corta una rama o una sección del tallo y sigue viviendo. Si a un poema le amputa un verso, una palabra, una letra, un signo ortográfico, muere. This poem says that where everybody is an organic matter, right? And if you get a cat, you lose an arm or a leg in animals, or a plant, you cut a stem, it keeps on growing, right?
It still lives.
It's missing something, but still grows, right? However, if in a poem you skip or you cut a piece of that, a word, a letter,
a verse,
or a verse, it's the meaning is not there no more. It changes. So that's why we need to make sure that we teach our children to read. It's important that we teach our children to be able to write and to aspire to
and the values of poetry. As Irma mentioned in her interview, that one of the most important things that she's experienced or witnessed in life is how important it is that people express themselves regardless of how they do it. You know, in her life, the way she's found that's best to express herself, her interior, is through poetry and through writing. But you know, there's people that express through artwork or whatever else it may be. And she really impacted her community through her poetry. People were able to identify, and one of the goals of this writing was to be able to connect to roots, to be able to mold young minds into seeing what poetry can really do and how they can express themselves, as well as, you know, encouraging future generations of writers in Peru and in San Francisco in the US as well.
Yes, thank you, Elena. With this, we're concluding our presentation and the interview we created for Irma, and we're gonna post this soon. Thank you.